I have cancer.
This couldn't wait until tomorrow.
They did it! They made my joke! Only they did it seriously! I was just joking! And they put it in the movie! It's so stupid! I'm going to attempt to watch this really stupid movie. Well, I mean, I can't say with 100% certainty that it's stupid, but I've seen enough clips of it to know that it's most likely very stupid. And I've never actually seen it before. Hey, buddy. I've never actually seen it before. So, I figured I'd try to react to it live, and hopefully it doesn't get taken down. Because, after all, I highly doubt I'm going to be able to refrain from significantly criticizing this movie, which should be protected under fair use. Deep breaths. Let's start this fucking thing. Alright, how fucking long is this damn intro? Who the fuck grabs alcohol and smiles at it like it's your long-lost lover? Lady, you got a problem. Here she goes again. You know what that alcohol has that God doesn't? Proof. Why is Christian music always so damn moody?
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You might want to think about a different instructor.
Oh, give me a fucking break. Nobody cares. You're wearing your cross chain. You might want to think about a different professor. This guy is extremely oppressive to Christians. He likes to persecute Christians for a living. Nobody loves being persecuted more than Christians.
What does PRC stand for?
People's Republic of China.
Oh. Seriously?
Oh, yes. Always serious.
Seriously?
Okay.
People come from China? You guys have people over there? Is there like a lot of people in China? Because that's like really weird. This movie is all over the place so far. Am I supposed to remember all these fucking people?
I don't know when was the last time I had chicken.
That was...
Think about all the different versions of yourself there will be throughout your entire life. And when you die, like say you get to 96 years old and you die, like which version is in heaven? You don't want to be a fucking 96-year-old in heaven, right? How many years get sliced off your life? Oh, thank you, Jay the Wise, for following. Baby version guts to heaven? Alright. Uh-oh. The zany music. When he owns the professor, does everyone stand and clap?
Professor Radisson. This is
Is this kid's name Einstein?
Introduction to philosophical thought.
They're all atheists.
They are.
Evil
or
atheists.
Were. Atheists. And again with the prefix a, meaning to not know, or more accurately, to doubt the existence of a supreme being. This semester I propose.
Okay, atheist that believes is a question of belief, not a question of knowledge. Agnosticism is a question of knowledge. I'm an agnostic. I'm an atheist as well. It means I don't believe in a God, but I acknowledge that I don't know if there's a God.
That we refuse to waste our limited time together debating the existence of the big man in the sky, the myth of a benevolent, all-powerful, supernatural being.
All right, wasting time. That's what philosophy. This is like a beginner's philosophy class. So that's basically going to be the class. That's the beginning of philosophy is the God debate. To skip over that would be to just skip over the class. what are you learning? The whole point of learning is to go through the debate. Even if you've already come to a conclusion, you're going to want to go through all the steps of the debate to see how these great philosophers came to their conclusions and their arguments against each other and whatnot. I mean, that's the whole fucking point.
All the time.
All the time?
God is good.
God is dead. This is, of course, a metaphor.
Show the happy, friendly Christians talking about how God is good, and then show the insufferable douchebag professor talking about how God is dead.
Useful fairy tale in ages gone by. When it's
God is dead and we have killed him, Friedrich Nietzsche. He was lamenting that they killed the feasibility of this God character, and it's fear of the unknown, because we thank you very much, Physicist 101, for subscribing, but it's a lament. It was a frightening thing for the God to be philosophically defeated. What's going to become of society without this foundational principle? He didn't have the evidence of that we do now of examples of societies getting along just fine without needing this belief in God. Largely secular societies that are largely peaceful. We have clear-cut examples now of very religious societies that are extremely violent, and very non-religious societies that are very peaceful. We didn't have that history yet, and people were afraid of what it would mean to defeat God, the arguments for God.
I would like to bypass this senseless debate altogether and jump to the conclusion, which every sophomore is already aware of.
See?
There is no God.
See? He just bypasses the whole debate. Why? No, get into the debate. Show why this is the reasonable conclusion to come to. That's how you learn. You go through the history you go through the history of philosophy, which is all about the great debate. It's all about the God debate. That's how you learn.
Fill in the papers I've just given you with 3 little words: God is dead, along with your signature. Assuming we reach a unanimous consensus, which I expect we will, I will be spared the tedious duty of slogging through dry and dusty arguments, and
he will be spared the tedious duty of doing his fucking job. This never happens in public colleges, but this is exactly the shit that Christian institutions do with their statements of faith. Exactly. Yeah, this is projection. Why he wants to bypass the entire class and have kids write down that God doesn't exist? I don't believe that anything like this has ever happened. I can't imagine some professor doing this. Oh! You hear the music? How could they be doing this? Are you insane? I can't do this. This is against my every moral fiber. And this is every moral fiber. My being tells me no. Don't do it, Josh Wheaton.
a lowercase g. Maybe this one ought to get extra credit. Thank you.
It's lowercase and uppercase isn't an insult. It's fucking basic grammar. Uppercase G when you're referring to a specific God, Yahweh. You capitalize G, you capitalize H and he and him and his. Lowercase if you're talking about gods in general. Jesus Christ. It's not an insult.
What you do in your personal life is your business, but what you do in this class is mine.
I can't.
What is this idiocy?
All right, Mr. Wheaton.
This is not how college
Allow me
works.
to explain the alternative. If you cannot bring yourself to admit that God is dead for the purposes of this class, then you will need to defend the antithesis. that God is not dead, and you'll need to do it in front of this class from the podium. And if you fail,
Ooh.
as you shall, you will fail this section and lose 30% of your final grade right off the bat. Are you ready to accept that?
Did he say, and you shall?
And if you fail, as you shall.
What? So I don't have words for this. Like, this is such over the top bullshit. If you fail, as you shall. Like, who? This is like a comical, like, Dr. Evil professor. You believe in God? You haven't heard? Oh, you're going to have to get in front of the class, mister. And you're going to have to show us what you know. And if you can't convince us, you are going to fail. Oh, we happen to have a bona fide teacher in the chat right now. Hello, Mr. Grappling Ignorance. I'm doing this to myself apparently because I have very low self-esteem and I want to torture myself. But I'm sorry, but I can't talk to you right now, Grappling Ignorance, because you're a teacher and I'm seeing not only that, but you're an atheist, and I see how you atheist teachers behave. How dare you oppress Christians? Do you walk around your classroom forcing students to sign a piece of paper and threaten them with failure if they don't admit that God is dead? Unbelievable. Unbelievable, Grappling Ignorance.
Well, who would decide whether I won or lost the argument?
Well, I would. It's not my class, my rules. Grading is my prerogative.
He already decided. He already decided that he would lose the argument, though.
Yeah, no disrespect, but I'm not sure you can be objective.
No shit. Because he was written that way.
What would you propose?
What about them?
Well, that's interesting, but why would I want to empower them?
We've already won them over. I mean, I'd have to unconvince them. Get them to admit they were wrong.
What kind of idiot professor who has to rely, who is contemplating allowing the class to decide, would immediately insult them right off the bat? Like, these peons? Empower them? I have power over them, sir! Like, already you're setting yourself up for failure. The class is going to fuck you over just to watch you get fucked over.
All right. Mr. Wheaton, you'll get 3 sessions, the last 20 minutes of each of the next 3 classes to make your case. I promise to keep my interruptions to a...
You know what? You know what would be really nice? Instead of hearing Mr. Josh Wheaton's arguments for God, what would really be helpful in a philosophy class is if, I don't know, maybe there was, I don't know. Could there have been actual philosophers who gave arguments for God at some point in history that maybe a professor of philosophy might be familiar with, that he could possibly like teach in a class to a bunch of students? No, let's get the student to come up with his own arguments and present them before the class. That makes a lot of fucking sense. Brilliant idea, Teach.
But, you could change your mind and bring in your signed statement at our next class, and we'll go forward as though none of this ever happened.
The Faustian bargain. Just sign the paper and you could have your grade.
I feel like God wants someone to defend him.
Omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. He needs this kid to defend him against the professor.
I did kind of miss those days, huh?
Yeah. You want to start again? We can try.
No.
Don't
He made a
move.
fortune selling devices that are designed to lure waterfowl to their deaths. Along with everything he says.
What does this have to do with anything?
With everything he says.
So what do you say to people who are offended by your show, not just because of the hunting, but because you openly pray to Jesus in every episode.
Hey, we're not trying to offend anybody, all right?
Nobody's offended by them praying. That's so stupid. Who gives a fuck? I hate the way this tries to make atheists seem, or left. The New Left is her blog, right? Like, come on. When people care about the praying shit, they care about when it's like enforced or imposed. You know, when they start getting that shit involved with the government, with the public schools, like when they start trying to use institutions to, you know, to lend it credibility, you know, especially when little kids are involved. Like, just keep that shit separate. You know, you want to pray on your own stupid fucking show, then go ahead and pray on your own stupid show. Nobody cares. Except for maybe their own, like, network where they want to, like, appeal to the broadest possible audience. And even that's not, like, individuals like this complaining about it. That's their network that's like, hey, man, you know, they want to appeal to more people. It's the same reason, like, they wouldn't give me a fucking show. Would they? I would be a very niche audience.
If they don't want to watch the show, they can turn the channel. All this stuff is temporary. The money, fame, success.
It's all temporary, yeah. This is just such a bullshit straw man to make it, you know... I mean, it's just the literal purpose of a straw man, just to make it easy for this guy to look right. You know, because of course he is. You know, they could just turn the channel. Well, of course. Yeah. Whatever. And now he gets to be the right one. Money, fame, all that's temporary. Fine, then give it up, just like Jesus did. Why aren't you giving all your money away? Read the fucking New Testament. It's clear as day what Jesus wanted people to do. Just give up everything and follow him. And he will provide. You won't need for anything. He's got you covered. You got to have faith. That's the whole fucking point. But no, this guy has millions of dollars. He's a millionaire. And as an atheist, you know, I'm fine with that. Fine, make money, whatever. I can be morally consistent if I want to be, and you know, and say, yeah, make your money and keep it if you want. But as a Christian, he can't. Sorry, he's going against his own beliefs here.
Temporary. Even life is temporary. Jesus, that's eternal. Jesus
Give up your money.
This, whoever acknowledges me before men, he will acknowledge
people are
the Father
suffering.
in heaven.
Think
Whoever
about all the
disowns
suffering
me,
he
I'll
could
disown
assuage
him to
by
the Father.
donating his money.
Now, those words are written in red, so they're important.
And that's it?
Could pay for a
That's
kid's
it. That's what we're
cancer
going with.
treatment.
Pretty simple, isn't it?
Thanks for your time.
Come on,
Instead
let's
of
go do
getting
some
his
acknowledging.
instead of getting his truck with big tires, he could pay for some kid's chemo. See, they're gonna make him look like a dick too. He's not of the correct religion. And also he's bald and has a beard, so of course he's an asshole.
Salam, Doctor. Who were you talking to?
How dare
No
you
one.
talk to another person? Did I give you permission to talk to another person?
Not the way he deserves and demands to be worshipped.
Anything that demands to be worshipped is not worthy
You
of
must
worship.
never forget who and
You can do it, Josh. You can defeat the evil atheist professor. Chilling in the church at night. He's a good kid, everybody.
How many people in that class?
80, maybe.
And how many of them do you think would ever step foot in here or any other church for that matter?
Well, none, probably.
So your acceptance of this challenge-
Why do Christians think that the world is like this? There's 80 people in that class. None of them, probably none of them go to church. When I went to college, and I had a speech class. Yes, I know that's hard to believe, seeing as how this is how I speak. But it was one class. It was an elective. Obviously, it didn't take. But anyway, seriously though, we all gave speeches. We had we had one speech where we could give it a speech about whatever we wanted, and everyone decided to talk about their fucking religions. Like, the first people decided to talk about their religion, their faith, and everyone just kind of followed suit with that. And I did the same thing. I got up and made a speech about how all the religions are bullshit, you know? And the whole fucking class was religious. It was all Christians and Muslims, and there was a Jehovah's Witness in there. It was all Catholics and Protestants and Baptists. Everybody was a fucking Christian or a Muslim. And there was like 2 or 3 atheists sprinkled in there who, you know, talked to me and agreed with me. It's like, what is this crazy? That was in Chicago, for Christ's sake. What is this crazy backwards world Christians think they live in, where they think they're the minority? I guess that goes along with the oppression narrative.
So everyone who acknowledges me before men, I also will acknowledge before my Father who is in heaven. Whoever denies me before men, I also will deny before my Father who is in heaven.
Bam! You hear that? Boy? You don't want to go to hell, do you? What do you want? You want a fucking A in your class? Or do you want to go to hell?
Everyone to whom much was given, of him much will be required. And from him to whom they entrusted much, they will demand the more.
Look at all this shit I did for you, boy. I do for you, you don't do for me? I'm God, bitch. You do for me. The leftist blog lady.
Your results came back positive. You have cancer.
You better start believing in God, bitch.
I don't have time for cancer.
Listen, it's already grown into the surrounding tissue. Your lymph nodes are involved, and your blood markers indicate evidence of distant metastasis. Now, I've already scheduled you for an MRI.
Motherfucker.
To determine the extent of it. I know you're very important, and the world can't get along without you. But it's my job to let you know that it may be.
I ain't got time to bleed.
And it certainly will.
Just don't get in the way between me and God, bitch. Never again.
Well,
what are
can't
those?
all be statistics.
No.
Josh, please tell me you haven't been spending all your time on that philosophy thing.
Damn it, Josh! Have you been getting into the philosophies again? Ugh. Why can't you do something like normal, like drugs, ecstasy? Oh no, my philosophy books fell out. She's gonna see them. No.
Maybe the battery.
You could pray the battery back to
By the
work
way, we're not going
with a
anywhere
starter.
right now.
Atheists say that no one can prove the existence of God, and they're right. But I say no one can disprove that God exists.
They're trying to look at this smirk. He did something. What did he do? Knock something down? Making him look like a real David versus Goliath situation here. I mean, you can disprove you can't disprove, the concept of a God in general, but a specific God, like the God of the Bible, where they've written a lot of pages about him. You can disprove that particular God by discerning whether the things they say about him actually occurred, factually or logically consistent or contradictory. You can come up with all kinds of problems that cast reasonable doubt on whether this being actually exists, at least as described. If this being does exist, then they could be saying all kinds of incorrect things, but they would necessarily be saying all kinds of incorrect things about it.
The only way to debate this issue is to look at the available evidence, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to put God on trial.
No, you're not. You're going to put the things that people have said about him on trial, not God himself.
In the beginning, there was an explosion, and in 3 minutes, 98% of the matter there is
in the beginning of the Big Bang, which we do not know and cannot say was the beginning of the universe being everything that exists, just the known universe. There was a time when the known universe did not go beyond the Milky Way galaxy. But as we know now, there are a fuck ton more galaxies than the Milky Way. At least 100 million more. At least. But at one point, we just thought it was the Milky Way. That was in the 1920s. That was the extent of the universe.
or ever will be was produced. We had a universe. For 2,500 years, most scientists agreed with Aristotle on the idea of a steady-state universe.
Oh, thank you, Mama Atheist.
That the universe has always existed with no beginning and no end.
That still might be the case.
In the 1920s, Belgian astronomer George Lemaitre, a theist, who's actually also...
What's a theist?
A theist is someone who believes...
They're in college! She just asked what's a theist. Yeah, this guy, a priest came up with the Big Bang Theory, and, you know, he's correct, but they draw too many assumptions about what the Big Bang tells us. Like, they conclude, oh, well, this is the universe. But they keep doing that throughout history. Oh, the Earth is the universe. Oh, the solar system is the universe. Oh, the Milky Way is the universe. Oh, the Big Bang is the universe. These people never fucking learn. It's the known universe. There's a difference. It's still, you know, we talk about a multiverse now, and, you know, they scoff at that. You know, who's to say there was one Big Bang? When has the universe ever given us one of anything?
Let there be light. In other words, the origin of the universe unfolded exactly how one would expect after reading Genesis.
No,
and for 2,500 years, the Bible had it right.
The Bible did not have it right. God hovered over the surface of the waters. You know, God created the universe in a very distinct way over a period of a week. He had to rest. This omnipotent being had to rest for a day. He created, you know, he created plants and, you know, and then created the sun. You know, like, it's obviously stupid and wrong and bullshit. It's obviously, it's not even meant to be taken literally, according to most Christians nowadays. It's a creation myth. It's one of an endless number of creation myths that have existed. It does not resemble the Big Bang in any way, shape, or form.
And science had it wrong.
So the earliest you can get here is 5? Okay.
Science had it wrong.
We'll be waiting. Wait, it has air conditioning, right?
Think about all the shit in the Bible, just in Genesis, that he would have to ignore to say the Bible had it right for 2,500 years. And science had it wrong. Think about all the bullshit in Genesis this guy would have to ignore to be able to say something like that. Stupid.
Or
every species fit on an ark.
Club about the details for the next Craft Bazaar. Lots of important stuff.
Homie got swallowed by a fish.
You'll have time to meet Mina for lunch.
A whale.
Right.
In the real world, we never see things jumping into existence out of nothingness, but atheists want to make one small exception.
Oh my God, there's no such thing as nothingness. That's a straw man. I believe in the concept of nothingness every bit as much as I believe in the concept of God, as in not at all. So what they're doing is they're supplanting the concept of God with the concept of nothingness and say, well, you believe everything came into existence out of nothingness. No, I don't believe that.
But in his book, The God Delusion, Richard Dawkins says that if you tell me God created the universe, then I have the right to ask you who created God.
Dawkins' question only makes sense in terms of a God who has been created. It doesn't make sense in terms of an uncreated God, which is the kind of God that Christians believe in. And even leaving...
Here's a little bit of special pleading for your ass. Okay, that's done. I'm moving on to the next question.
God out of the equation, I then have a right to turn Mr. Dawkins' own question back around on him and ask, if the universe created you, then who created the universe? You see...
Why does that? We have clear-cut you could see people being created all the time. These are essentially people who did not exist, have no experiences or memories or anything because they don't exist, and then something physical happens, and then a person comes to be. This is literally components of the universe coming together to create a new person. We don't have any examples of gods creating universes. That's just bullshit you came up with.
You don't have to commit intellectual suicide to believe in a creator behind the creation. And to the extent that you don't allow for God...
This is like begging the question. You know, when you refer to it as a creation, like you're already coming to the conclusion in the argument. You have to argue that it's a creation in the first place. And the reason he's calling it a creation is so he can defer to the creator, right? Because if it's a creation, there had to be a creator. Well, I say it's not a creation in the first place. That's the part you have to show. You have all your work ahead of you.
Well, I imagine you're quite pleased with yourself.
Do you think you're smarter than me, Wheaton? Do you think there's any argument you can make that I won't have an answer for?
What the fuck?
Smarter.
That's the first intelligent thing you've said. Make this clear. In that classroom, there is a God, and yet I'm him. I'm also a jealous God, so do not try to humiliate me in front of my students.
I'm a jealous God.
You know, I also checked up on your declared major one, pre-law. What exactly is pre-law? We don't award degrees in that. Don't bother answering. But know this. If you truly feel a need to continue with this charade, I will make it
son of a bitch!
Mission to destroy any hope of a law degree in your future. Have a nice day.
Oh, it's on now. The stakes just went from here to fucking here. The evil atheists are coming out with their true colors now, boy. You best believe. Oh, here comes the girlfriend. Oh, shit. The girlfriend. It's coming at him from every angle.
You did it, didn't you?
You son of a bitch.
You know what I'm talking about. You went and did your argument, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
What were you trying to prove? I'm not even sure.
He's Jesus right now. On the cross. They're yelling at him. They're jeering at him. The spear is coming. Stay strong, brother.
I'm sorry, Josh, but it's over between us.
Never gonna get that whop.
Just wish I'd had the sense to listen.
It's so bad. It's so hokey. Nobody acts like this. This is the type of movie an alien would make if they spent 24 hours on Earth observing humans. The Muslim is going to convert to Christianity, and Daddy's not going to like it one bit. Franklin Graham. Oh, Jesus Christ. Uh-oh. Kid. Don't do it. He's going to tell Daddy. He's going to catch her. Don't look at that phone, kid. Franklin Graham is worse than porn.
Give me that!
How dare you betray Father? How dare you betray Allah? Christians being persecuted in the Muslim world. Christians being persecuted on the college campus. You know, one day I envisioned in America where we could finally have a Christian president. Only then will I know that Christians are no longer persecuted.
Okay, but me first.
Yes, Chayushi. Well, we're not at 50 in a row yet, but we are at 46 Christians in a row for president, including almost everybody in fucking Congress with a few exceptions.
I've just been named partner.
Ooh.
I think I have cancer. Did you hear me?
Bitch, did you not just hear me? I made partner. Partner. Why are you trying to one-up me right now?
Did you hear what I just said? I have cancer.
This couldn't wait until tomorrow.
They did it! They made my joke! Only they did it seriously! I was just joking! And they put it in the movie! It's so stupid! Nobody is like that! Nobody is like that! Oh my god, these people have such a... These people are so fucking twisted. How? How is this possible? How did this movie get made? Somebody had to read this script. Like, more than one person. More than the person who wrote it and then the actors. That should have been enough to put a kibosh on this whole fucking thing. But other people had to okay this.
How can you say that to me? I thought you loved me.
I made partner.
But you're changing our agreement. You're breaking our deal.
You make it sound like a contract negotiation.
Well, what did you think this was?
I thought it was love.
I never agreed to cancer.
Amy.
Grow
Love
up.
is the most overused word in the English language. It's what we say when we want something, when we need something. And you're as guilty of it as anybody.
Cancer culture. Let me guess, this guy's an atheist too.
We had fun. You were my hot young girlfriend with the chic job. I was your upwardly mobile, charming, successful boyfriend.
Who talks like this?
Because we each got something out of the relationship that we wanted. And it was good. It was great. But now it's over.
This is so bad.
Did I not see this in you?
Because you saw what you wanted.
You understand that
This
I'm
is
gonna die.
comically bad. I didn't sign up for cancer, bitch. How dare you decide to do this while I made partner? Did they honestly think they were going to change anyone's minds with this movie, or did they know full well that they were pandering to their base? If so, what the fuck is the point? I believe so. I think that this is more of a movie for Christians than it is for atheists. I mean, that's where... I mean, all pretending to be oppressed aside, they know that the money to be made is with the Christian audience. You're not going to make this for a tiny minority. The atheists are the tiny minority in actuality, in reality. They made this for the Christians.
Stop me over. My parents don't want me to risk it.
Ah,
And this is about?
his sister.
You really should go see Mom. She's not doing well.
He's not going to
She
see
hasn't been
mom.
doing well for years. That's why they call it dementia.
Who acts like that?
Claire said you haven't been there in a while.
Who?
Like it matters? Besides, I just bought her a new TV. Unresolved personal issues.
She got
She's got some
cancer.
stuff she's got to work through.
I dumped her.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Mom
we ready
has
to get this
dementia.
started?
Mom had dementia for years. What else is new? I'm not going to visit that bitch. My girlfriend has cancer. She ain't my girlfriend anymore, though, is she? She's not worthy. Time to trade her in for a new model. Stop calling
Seriously,
me.
you've got to get a life.
Yeah.
I'm an atheist, by the way.
So we don't talk about them.
Yeah, except the not talking is starting to get louder and louder. And soon it will be deafening. And I don't know if I can.
He should pull one of those shoulder grabs. You little bitch. What did I say about believing in God, huh? What did I say about it?
On this.
Don't you ever do that around me again.
No room in this relationship
You're an
for two,
atheist.
which means I don't get a mistress and you don't get to drag a 2,000-year-old.
Who the fuck wrote this? Who wrote this?
You guys going?
Is this a practical joke?
For review mid-semester.
Where's the Baphomet statue?
Oh, congratulations, Jeffrey.
Where's the pentagram?
Anything else on your plate?
Could use a fountain of blood. Just saying.
But I actually believe in God.
Yes. Well, she's a work in progress. So.
Is that what they think? Is that what people think it's like? These awkward little gatherings. I actually believe in God. And the atheists. They're all like contemplating whether or not to like sacrifice her to Satan. Hearts plattering, like all the Christians in the movie theater right now. She admitted it right in front of them. She revealed herself right in front of them. This is like the scene in the fucking movie where the cartel, finds out that the fucking guy trying to sell them, trying to buy their drugs is an undercover cop. Like they find a fucking badge just falls out of his pocket and then slides across the kitchen floor, and the cartel guys, with like AK-47s, they're all like looking at the badge. This is the fucking same situation, okay? She's in deep shit right now. She's in the fucking pit of vipers. She fucked up the
I bought it
wine.
before I went shopping the other day.
It was sitting in the
In the
car.
trunk. And when I got home, I forgot about it.
Well, I think this dinner serves as a valuable lesson. As Socrates put it over 2,000 years ago, noti seaton.
Looks like it's Greek to her.
It's a know thyself, darling, know thyself, which I suggest means knowing your own limitations.
You silly broad. Silly broad.
Now, if you'll all excuse me, it's time for the help to depart.
Sweetheart.
Lady, come on. You're in way over your head. These people are intellectuals. Do you know a single word of Latin?
Because there is a law such as gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing. And to be honest, I tend not to refute that.
Okay. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know if that... I'm guessing maybe that is an actual quote from Stephen Hawking if they're going to put it in a movie. I don't know if it's like terribly out of context or whatever. But create itself out of nothing. I mean, it's just extremely stupidly phrased. I mean, nothing can create itself. Like that presupposes that it already existed, and that necessarily requires that it already existed. Create itself. Who did the creating? Itself. What did it create? Itself. It's tautological. It's dumb. I'm sure that this is being taken way too literally.
But if you can't bear to disagree with Hawking's thinking, then I suggest that you turn to page 5 of his book, where he insists philosophy is dead. And if you're so sure of Professor Hawking's infallibility, and philosophy really is dead, then, well, there's really no need for this class.
And you see how the straw man was set up in the beginning, and then now it's getting knocked right down, because no professor of philosophy would base his whole argument on an appeal to authority. Like, Stephen Hawking said it. So, and now, because that's such a bad argument, this freshman student gets to, knock that straw man right on down. And, I say it's a straw man, even though, obviously it's the professor's actual argument. But I'm calling it a straw man because nobody fucking does that. This was written by theists pretending to be atheists, right? A theist wrote an atheist character.
Guys are capable of this.
Yeah, Peachy. No philosophy professor would teach freshmen introductory classes absolutes either. And he just wanted to skip the whole class. Like an introduction to philosophy would be all about the God debate, right? He wanted to skip all that and just conclude right at the beginning that God doesn't exist. Like, no. Like, I'm one of the more diehard atheists there is. And if I were to teach a class, I would get all into the minutia of the theists' arguments of throughout history, the actual theist philosophers, their arguments for God, all the classical arguments, and then the counter arguments. That's how you learn.
You'll never have any work.
If God doesn't make mistakes and all of his creations are absolutely riddled with mistakes, I mean, isn't that like tacitly saying that God makes mistakes?
Ladies and
look at the way they framed this. Exit. Put his ass right by the exit sign.
gentlemen of the jury.
Symbolic.
For the last 150 years, Darwinists have been saying that God...
Darwinists. Oh, boy, here we go. Is he's a full-blown creationist, really? He's not even going to accept evolution? A lot of science has happened since Darwin, and he's right. Evolution doesn't replace God. It explains the diversity of life. I mean, we all know this by now. It's distinct from a biogenesis, but I mean, there's far more robust ideas now about how life began, and when they talk about like the first things that we can call living organisms, they would be very different than anything that exists today. Far more simple. Might not even recognize them as life. I remember reading an article about chemically active droplets. Like how droplets form mist, condensation, and they clump together when they get close. Clump together, water tension. And this kind of like emulates cell division, And they think, and there's a hypothesis that this could have been how self-replicating chemical reactions began. Through no, not drops from condoms. But I'm butchering the explanation because it's surface tension. Yes, surface tension. Did I say water tension? You know what I mean. I'm doing all of this on the fly while inundating my brain with this intense stupidity. But let's see what he says about abiogenesis.
But it's just not that simple.
No,
You see,
it's not.
Darwin claimed that the ancestry of all living things came from that one single simple organism.
No, maybe not. I mean, maybe Darwin said that. Maybe he didn't say that. I don't know. But there's no law that says that life had to arise at one place and at one time. In fact, they think that life had to arise many different times on Earth. Several instances where it could have just been wiped out in the early volatile Earth, or where conditions for life could have been just right and on one continent and also in a completely different area on another continent. And
Well, as noted, author Lee Strobel pointed out that if you can picture the entire 3.8 billion years that scientists have say life is...
Lee Strobel is garbage. I've read a lot of his books.
been around is one 24-hour day. In the space of just about 90 seconds, most major animal groups suddenly appear in the forms of which they currently hold, not slowly and steadily, as Darwin predicted, but in evolutionary terms, almost instantly.
In evolutionary terms. In other words, he's talking about millions of years. But he's using relativity to say instantly. Like he just glosses over that in evolutionary terms almost instantly.
So, nature does not jump becomes nature makes a giant leap.
Over a period of tens of millions of years. If he's talking about Cambrian explosion. And certainly not one day, like it says in the fucking Bible.
And God said, "Let the water teem with living creatures and let birds fly above the earth across the expanse of the sky." So God created the great creatures of the sea and every living and moving thing with which the water teems according to its kind. And God saw that it was good.
You know who could have wrote that? Anybody who saw fish or birds. It's just a bald assertion.
Genesis 1:20. In other words, creation happened because God said it should happen. And even what looks to our eyes...
That's not an answer. Creation happens because God said it should happen. That's just a blind appeal to authority. Why? Why?
It's to be a blind, unguided process could really be divinely controlled from start to finish.
It's not a blind, unguided process. It's survival of the fittest. It's selective sexual selection and natural selection. It's the pressures of nature. Competition. It's what is able to adapt and survive to its environment. What might be a detriment to one creature might be a boon to another in a completely different environment, and depending on how things go, circumstances can change. It's not about what is superior, it's about what is best suited to its environment in the moment, but so it's not fucking random. That's such a bullshit straw man when they do that.
Lies, lies, and more lies.
What happened to you?
Something happened. How
When a
dare
12-year-old watches his mother dying of cancer, it's only natural to beg God for her life. And he'll promise anything to his make-believe grandfather in the sky, including to love and worship him forever, if only he will spare her.
This is every Christian's wet dream. Atheist, he had something wrong. Something bad happened to him in his life, and that's why he doesn't believe. It can't possibly be that this shit is difficult to believe. It can't possibly be that this shit is outlandish. And that I believe it because I was just fucking raised with it, and it's just a norm to me.
Sometimes the answer is no.
Tell that to me the day you lose someone you love. She died believing a lie. She died believing that someone out there loved her even while he was strangling her to death. A God who would allow that is not worth believing in. That is why, Wheaton, you will find the most committed atheists were once Christians.
It would be difficult, I think, to make an atheist propaganda movie because the comical evil that they try to portray as atheists, I mean, that's shit that like Christians actually do. It's like fucking projection. It's like they literally do sit in the halls of government and talk about ways to to get, you know, prayer into schools, to get the kids to talk, to pray to God, and to become, you know, to get their religion to become hegemonic. Like this, if atheists did this kind of shit, they would instantly recognize it as bad.
Full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
He's an angry atheist, everybody. If you've seen one, you've seen a million of them. Uh-oh. Uh-oh! Her little brother told him, "You son of a bitch." Ooh! And who's the first person to get violent in the movie? Well, actually, the atheist did, you know, like grab him by the shoulder. He's like, "You son of a bitch, how dare you believe in God?" But then the Muslim has to go full on violence. And a little kid, we got our future suicide bomber over here. He sees this. He's learning. He's learning.
Who has not begotten.
Acting. Oscars, people. Back to the commies. Oh, that's not gonna help. Acting. Oscar. Why did I not see any of this shit in the Oscars? When did this movie come out? Lens flare. J.J. Abrams. Confirmed. She's doing her power walk. She's about to lay the smack down.
Every point of argument. I mean, you can see
Jeffrey,
where he's going with
I need to talk to you.
His name had to be Jeffrey. His name had to be Jeffrey!
Thought was to make sure that...
Jeffrey, I'm leaving you.
Ooh, snap. You do not leave me right now.
What are you saying?
I'm leaving you.
You can't do that. I won't accept it.
Oh, yes, she can.
I'm sorry.
She's
I said
strong...
I don't accept that. I won't allow it.
I know. I heard you.
I won't allow it.
It's not your choice. Goodbye, Jeffrey.
I don't accept that. I don't understand. I won't allow it. You're not allowed to leave me. Oh, God. These are the only two good people in the whole movie. Well, and her, and also Josh. Are there any bad Christians in this movie? I can't think of any.
Have you read of the Apostle Paul?
Paul.
He said, "I know what it is to have little."
He also thought he saw a vision of a dead Jewish carpenter who talked to him. Uh-oh. Oh no, he's gonna take it out. He's gonna take it out on Josh. Watch. Don't go in the elevator. That's where they trap you. He's gonna have his way with him. Ooh! Don't get into that elevator, Josh. Don't do it. God is with you, son. Be brave, Josh. Is he gonna do the whole stop button? Is he gonna stop the elevator mid-floor? Come on.
I made a mistake with you. Letting you speak in front of my classroom and spew your propaganda.
You're
Today,
actually quite a formidable
we're gonna
opponent,
change things
Josh.
up a bit.
Evil. Now, it's been said that evil is atheism's most potent weapon against the Christian faith, and it is. After all, the very
what the philosophers, not evil, but what the philosophers refer to as natural evil. Not just pain and suffering inflicted by bad people, but pain and suffering in general. You know, like this lady's cancer, when it leads to her death. Suffering and then death.
very existence of evil begs the question.
You're a god, you know, and you're supposed to be, according to them, benevolent. Well, that's awfully contradictory when you can do something about that. Or, you know, why does it happen in the first place then? Thank you, Gnome Drunk Sky.
If God is all good, and God is all powerful, why does he allow evil to exist? The answer at its core is remarkably simple.
Because of free will.
Free will.
What this means is that God cares more about the free will of the evildoer than the pain and suffering of their victims. Which means God is still a shithead, and it doesn't save you.
God allows evil to exist because of free will. From the Christian standpoint, God tolerates evil in this world on a temporary basis, so that one day those who choose to love him freely will dwell with him in heaven, free from the influence of evil, but with their...
Since when was the last time you chose to love somebody? It's not a choice. And you have to believe somebody actually exists before you can love them. He's getting the prerequisites. He's glossing over the prerequisites here.
Free will intact. In other words, God's intention concerning evil is to one day destroy it.
Well, how convenient.
Oh my God.
One day, I will get rid of all the evil in the world. But until then, you just have to deal with all the wars and Holocaust, tsunamis, poverty.
He'll get rid of all the evil in it. Why did he make it in the first place? Like, obviously, such a realm could exist. If heaven exists, then there could exist a place without evil, right? So why didn't God just make heaven and just leave it at that? Because you know why? Because that's not what we see in the world. And they need to be able to explain it away. But their explanation has all kinds of fucking holes.
Starvation and AIDS. Have a nice life. Next, he'll be lecturing us on moral absolutes.
But why not? Professor Radisson, who's clearly
look at this.
An atheist.
All these dumb arguments that this kid just made, that I just pause and just point out how stupid they are and why they're stupid. And does the professor even come close to doing any of that? He just glosses over all of it. Doesn't come up with any argument whatsoever. Just sheer incredulity. I don't want to take too long.
That we need a God to be moral, that a moral atheist is an impossibility.
No, but with no God, there's no real reason to be moral. I mean, there's not even a standard of what moral behavior is.
That's bullshit. Because reality exists, and the conditions... Like, I say it's the opposite. I say if, you know, your God exists, then you don't really have a standard other than, you know... Like you could just ask for forgiveness, right? The atheist, you know, this is our only shot at life. And we can't just do whatever we want. There's consequences to our actions. We understand that we have to experience in this life.
For Christians, lying, cheating, stealing, in my example, stealing a grade I didn't earn are forbidden. It's a form of theft. But if God does not exist, as Dostoevsky famously pointed out, if God does not exist, then everything is permissible.
Everything is permissible if God does exist. All you just have to do is ask for forgiveness. Better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission, right? Well, you know, we have to answer to our fellow human beings, which are far more tangible than God. And if you want to live in a society that is actually desirable to live in, then you're going to want to uphold certain standards. And trampling on those standards, trampling on the moral contract between human beings, because that's what morality is. It is behavior between human beings. If there's no human beings, then there's no morality, or if I should say living things, not because it's not just limited to human beings. There's moral behavior exhibited in animals as well. If there's no interaction between living things, then there's no morality. This means that morality is an emergent property, right? It's a relationship thing. It doesn't come from on high. There has to be agents interacting for it to exist, right? In other words, we create morality. That doesn't mean, therefore, that it gets to be whatever we want it to be, because there are things that are objectively unpleasant to the vast majority of living things that cause pain and suffering. And there's a moral contract, like an unwritten moral contract that agrees to minimize those things, at least amongst our own species anyway, I would say, naturally. But why would you need a God to lay it all out for you? Like, why would you need God to tell you murder is wrong, theft is wrong, lying is wrong, and then to defer to that as the reason for it to be wrong? Wouldn't it be far better to work through the rationale of why it's wrong? Like when your kid asks you something and you say, because I said so. What has your kid learned from that? Nothing. They need a reason. And when you defer to God like that, you're not actually giving a reason. You're just deferring to somebody else who may or may not exist. But you're not giving a reason. Do I want this to become more normalized in society? Do I want to live in a society where people are murdered? Because in the end, that's going to put myself at risk. That's going to put my family at risk. Or would I rather live in a society where murder is a rare thing and murder is something that's not facilitated? You know, it's not something that happens very often. I would much rather live in that kind of society. So naturally, I'm going to be against murder. I can come up with a million different reasons why you shouldn't murder or steal or lie, right? Each one, with possible exceptions even. But none of them are answered by just saying, well, God says so. God came up with the rules. Like, you can come up with all kinds of good reasons, right? So what are God's reasons?
Not only permissible, but pointless. If Professor Radisson is right, then all of this, all of our struggle, our debate, whatever we decide here is meaningless.
Pointless and meaningless. That's what describes the afterlife with God, right? Because if it just goes on forever and ever for all of eternity, what's the point? It's meaningless. Value comes from limitation, from rarity. If like I've said before, a diamond has value because it's rare, because because it's limited. If there were diamonds everywhere, if diamonds were like grains of sand, then they would be worthless, right? There would be no value. Well, life, we give ourselves meaning and purpose, and we have value and meaning because life is limited. But if it's just stretched on for eternity, that's when you get your purposelessness. That's when you get your meaninglessness. That's when things just, there's no value anymore. You know? So it's the exact opposite of what he's saying.
I mean, our lives and ultimately our deaths are no more consequence than that of a goldfish.
Come on, this is ridiculous. So after all your...
Yeah, our deaths have, in the grand scheme of things, your death has no more consequence than that of a goldfish. In 10,000 years. But does that matter to us? Does it matter to you what your life will have meant 10,000 years from now? Because I guarantee you that it won't matter, any more than the death of a goldfish. Who do you know that died 10,000 years ago? Could you think of anybody? I can't. Right? It doesn't matter. But that's okay. What matters is the here and the now. The life that you can experience in your family. Your life does matter now. Your life does have value now because other people value it. That's from where the value is generated. Other people. Right? But in 10,000 years, none of those people are going to value you, who you were, what you did. It's all going to be lost to history.
All your talk, you're saying that it all comes down to a choice. Believe or don't believe.
That's not a choice. You can't choose to believe or disbelieve shit. You could choose to look into it. You can choose to investigate, but you can't choose to be convinced by it. And to anybody who says that they do choose that, which by the way means that the whole premise of Christianity is predicated on utter bullshit because it's based on the choice to believe. Choose to believe that you can fly like Superman and go to the top of a 10-story building and take a walk right off the fucking ledge. If you can choose in that moment, while you're at the ledge, while you're at the edge of that building, looking 10 stories down at the parking lot below, tell me if you can choose that you can fly. You can choose to believe that you can fly. So with enough confidence in that belief that you're willing to step off the ledge. It's not a choice. That's one of the main reasons Christianity is bullshit. That's one of the main reasons an all-knowing God would not have such ridiculous criteria for whether or not your eternal soul is rewarded or tormented or blinked out of existence or whatever, simply because you weren't convinced that he exists. What's the moral wrong there? What's the moral wrong with not being convinced that something exists? There's probably plenty of people here who didn't know I existed a few weeks ago, a few months ago, a few years ago. Like, were you wronging me when you didn't know that I existed? No. What's wrong with that? And you know what? If you aren't convinced that God exists, you know who's really to blame for that? The theist who's failed to convince you. The onus is on them. They should be the ones going to hell for failing to convince me that God exists. How about that?
That's right. That's all there is. That's all there's ever been. The only difference between your position and my position is that you take away their choice. You demand that they choose the box marked, I don't believe.
Oh my God, that's the most ironic thing I've ever heard. You take away their choice. You demand that they don't believe. God fucking demands that you do believe, or else. How did they write this without realizing what they were doing? How did they write this?
It's not even atheism anymore. What you're teaching is anti-theism. It's not enough that you don't believe. You need all of us to not believe with you.
Here's more projection. Like, what do Christianity and proselytizing go hand in hand? Like, it's not enough for the Christian to just believe. The Christian has to get everyone else to believe as well. He's talking like it's a bad thing to talk about your beliefs and try to convince other people, to that your beliefs had veracity, right? He's talking like that's some kind of nefarious thing. But that's just normal. That's what everybody does, and including Christians. Only Christians actually have, turned it into an institution, an obligation. And I don't even necessarily blame them for that if they legitimately believe that people's eternal souls, like if people are going to be tormented. I mean, if I believed that people are going to be tormented, I'd probably try to save their souls too by trying to convince them of this stuff. But what gives him the fucking right to point his finger? Like, what the fuck is he doing? What the fuck do a lot of Christians do besides that very thing?
Enjoy failing you.
Yeah, but who are you really looking to fail, Professor? Me? Or God?
He's doing what Christians do best, and that is confusing himself with God. Do you hate God? He doesn't. Well, I don't know about him, but I don't believe God exists, at least not your version of it. So I hate God no more or less than I would hate any other fictional character, like Voldemort or Saruman, or I guess I don't like those characters, but I don't believe they're real.
I hate God.
It's not even a question.
Okay. Why do you hate God?
This is ridiculous.
Why do you hate God? Answer the question. You've seen the science and the arguments. Science
Got him!
Existence. You know the truth. So why do you hate him?
You can't handle the truth.
It's a very simple question, Professor. Why do you hate God?
Because he took everything away from me.
And now the Christians are ejaculating.
Yes, I hate God. All I have for him is hate.
2 orgasms. Give me 2. 2 orgasms.
How can you hate someone if they don't exist?
Got him! Off the top rope. Off the top fucking rope. Yeah, he's not an atheist. You just fucking owned that theist. I'm off the hook. I happen to be an atheist. I don't hate God. I don't believe in God. Right? So I'm off the hook. I'm not the asshole. Hey, Lisa. Dear? Lisa? Do you believe in God?
No.
Wife, do you believe in God?
Sure.
Well, it's over! I'm leaving you! And you can keep that brat! I'm sick of it! I can't help it. I'm naturally evil. It is not planned. When could we have possibly had time to plan that? Lisa.
No.
What, honey? Did you want to tell me?
I don't want to say that.
Did you just say that you have cancer? We're through! I don't have time for this. I just got a bunch of subs on my YouTube channel and you're dropping this cancer nonsense on me? Get out of my house! I'm an atheist! Alright, let's continue to watch some movie, everybody.
They get to choose.
They get to choose.
Is God dead?
Be hilarious right now if they're like, yeah, God's dead. That's just the professor. You just got into an argument with another theist. We're all atheists. God's dead. F! The communist converts first. You can't see it, but I'm pumping my fist.
He's not dead.
Son of a bitch. Yeah, he did it! That's a 4.0 GPA, everybody. Rocky. This is like the end of Rocky. No, actually, this is the end of Rocky 2. Because Rocky lost, and... Sorry, spoilers. This is Rocky 2 right here. He did it.
Please allow these cars to stop. Amen.
So, I was right.
No.
Like, my joke, like, this is another instance of them just doing my joke. Like, praying that the car runs.
Unbelievable.
Thank you,
No.
Settled Coyote.
Fake.
Perfect timing. Thank you for subscribing. Beautiful.
That is good.
All the time.
At that precise moment that God intervened with human affairs and physically did whatever was needed to that car's starter or alternator or generator or whatever, a child in Yemen was starving to death. Well, actually, that would be now. I don't know if that would be back then. Some kid in Iraq stepped on an IED and had the lower half of his body blown off. And he spent maybe a few minutes in excruciating pain before finally dying. And God was basically just standing there looking down at him as it happened. And because he's not a Christian, he's also going to burn in hell. BTW. So God just stood there and watched it happen. This kid get blown in half and die a horrific death. And then he looked over here and saw that this car wasn't starting. Oh. What's that I hear? Someone praying to me? Someone having faith? Well, let's get that alternator working. We can't have that, can we?
And all the time.
Yeah, even within the movie, you're right, Peachy. One of the characters has cancer. But he's intervening for the fucking car, but not for the fucking cancer. Priorities. This is the mind worms that eat the brains of... I'm not going to say Christians. These particular Christians who make these goofy movies that make my voice go up several octaves inexplicably. Here's the dementia-addled lady that we did not see since the beginning of the movie. He's visiting.
I don't even know what I'm doing here.
He's talking out loud. Inner monologue out loud in front of his poor mother. All right, prediction time. She's going to have a moment of lucidity. And she's going to turn to him and she's going to know exactly who he is. Right? Is that what's going to happen?
You prayed and believed your whole life. Never done anything wrong.
And now you got old. See, their examples. My examples are good. Their examples are shit. Because obviously everybody's going to get old, right? You're not going to say that, why didn't God intervene and stop this lady from getting old?
My life is perfect. Explain that to me.
Sometimes the devil allows people to live a life free of trouble because he doesn't want them turning to God.
Hey, if God doesn't want you, here's a little idea. Why the fuck did he make you in the first place? Peachy, maybe she doesn't have dementia. She just doesn't like anyone that visits, so she pretends to not know them so she could ignore them. That's a solid plan. I'm going to have to remember that for when I get older.
What did you say you were?
Jesus.
I can't believe this. The car actually starts.
You know what? I would have totally done a flip-flop on this movie and thought that this was a good movie if before she turned to him like and said, "Who are you?" if her head just kept going. Fucking full circle. Exorcist style. "Who are you?" Devil voice. "Who are you?" Perfect.
When you're pressed, you quote a bunch of ancient scribblings and say, "Don't worry, it's all in there."
You know, we atheists are pretty insufferable sometimes, but we don't typically just barge into places and start arguing with people about God. We usually upload YouTube videos or wait to be, proselytized to, and then we'll start talking about it. We usually don't just bring it up out of the fucking blue.
Hey, Amy, you're not here to trash us, are you? I think that's what you might have done, but I think you're here kind of wondering, kind of hoping that this stuff is for real.
This is every fucking Christian's wet dream. Like, the atheist coming to them, like, trying to get them, and then the Christian is steadfast, and, like, they got the armor of God on, and all of these barbs just bounce right off, and they're like, "Hey, you know what? We think you're here because you're searching too. Bring it on in. Come on. Bring it on in." God loves you. God loves you. And the atheist's like, "Yes, I know." They could feel the tears. They could feel the tears dropping on the shoulder.
Aren't you?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Well, I just felt that that's what God was saying, and
Yeah.
I just wanted you to know.
That's what God was saying. You know what Christians, Christians like this, you know what they're referring to when they say that's what God told me? Their fucking inner monologue, which everybody has. Right? We all have an inner monologue. It's just that some people confuse that with God, which is why they're always so in agreement with God all the time.
I can't.
You got me.
He's just the drummer.
You got me. And oh yeah, it's sexy time. Come on. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. O-R-G-Y. Come on. Look at how mesmerized the communist is. He can't believe it. People are happy and free. They're not even in a gulag. You know, my YouTube channel is older than this movie. Maybe what if they named him Jeffrey because of my fucking channel? I'd have to go take a shower right fucking now if that were the case.
That we're asking you would save her tonight, Lord.
Change her, cleanse her, give her a fresh start, Lord.
As we all know, no Christian has ever died a painful death from cancer after profusely, sincerely praying regularly. They never endured the cancer treatments and the chemo, the vomiting, the weakness. They never kept praying and praying and praying, but just died anyway. It just suffered and suffered and suffered and then died. They were never just Christians their entire lives and expressed nothing but devotion and never doubted. Never happened. Nobody can ever come up with an example of a Christian dying a painful death of cancer.
I don't know.
Sometimes the answer is no. Remember that? Sometimes God knows best. Remember that? And sometimes what's best for you is to suffer an extremely painful life and then die. There has to be a good reason for it because God is good. And that's how we define good. That's what good people do. They make you suffer and die.
She is loved by you, the master of the universe. Give her strength for the journey ahead, Lord. And let her know in her heart, God.
He-Man is God? Did I miss a question? Why do you hate God? Because he gave us crappy final seasons of Game of Thrones and Walking Dead. I was really looking forward to those how those turned out, and God fucked them up. You're good.
Oh, his ribs are crushed. His lungs are filling with blood. He doesn't have long. Are you sure?
That's an awfully fast diagnosis.
Do you know Jesus?
You son of a bitch! He can't even die in peace.
I'm dying.
You people won't give me a moment's fucking peace.
Because that car could have killed you instantly. And I'm sure right now you probably wish that it did. But I'm here to tell you that it's a gift. Because the God that you don't believe in has given you another chance.
God is giving him a chance. He's prolonging his death so that he can be convinced that God exists. Am I not merciful? Hey, what about all those atheists who did die instantaneously? What about them? What about when, they dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki? I mean, there had to be some atheists in there. Instantly flash fried.
I want to die. I'm so scared.
Doesn't sound like your lungs are filling up with blood. I want to see blood spewing forth from Hercules' mouth immediately. This is yet another Christian orgasm moment when they say when they close out the argument after losing every point in the argument. It always comes down to, well, when you're on your deathbed, then you'll sing a different tune, mister. This is yet another cliche. I mean, if you're an atheist who's done any kind of arguing on a regular basis with Christians, you know that this is one of their main things that they like to do.
He says no a lot.
He gives us the answers we'd ask for if we knew what he knows.
I like how they diagnose this guy's whole medical situation within a few seconds. So now they're just, all right, let's just get right down to the proselytizing. Last rites, you're fucked, dude. You're dead.
For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways.
So all the bullshit that this guy did, this asshole, you see what I mean? All good. It's all good, man. because while you were laying in the street with your crushed ribs and your lungs filling up with blood, you said your little prayer. You said your little incantation, "In nomine Patri, Spiritus Sancto," and now you get in. You're in, buddy. You're in the club. Come on, you said the magic words. Get in here, buddy. VIP room. Get the fuck back there. All that shit, water under the bridge.
And my thoughts are higher than your thoughts, says the Lord.
Exactly.
Hey, wait, that kid in Iraq whose body was blown in half by an IED, fuck him, right? He was a Muslim, so you get out of here. Kick him away from the VIP room. What are you doing? You have to kick both halves because it's heaven, right? So he's got his legs still walking, trying to get into the pearly gates, and his upper half, still trying to crawl in. Get back. Both legs. St. Peter with both legs, kicking him back. This is the VIP room. You didn't say the incantation before you died. God gave you another 30 seconds after that IED exploded.
Are you willing to put your faith in Jesus Christ? Are you willing to take that chance?
Yes. You know what? It's Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet, right? He fucking accepted Jesus Christ. Like maybe Allah would have taken him in if he was just an atheist. He's like, oh, okay, I understand you grew up in the United States or whatever. At least you didn't become one of those god awful Christians. Come on in. Instead of, the 72 virgins, I'll give you, what's that, 36? We'll go halvesies. 36 virgins. But no, you fucked it up, didn't you? You went with the Christians. You're wrong. Now you're going to wake up burning in hell. Congrats.
God is willing to forgive you of your sins.
Now that God, I hated you. I hated you, God. Until you crushed my ribs and made my lungs fill up with blood. And now I see the light. Now I see that you love me.
It's all right.
Imagine lying in the middle of the street, dying a horrifically painful death, and having some Christian smiling down at you. Nightmare fuel. These people have no idea what it's like to be an atheist. You're gonna know more about God than I do and anybody else. You know what he feels right now? The same thing you do when you go under anesthetics or when you're in a deep dreamless sleep. Fucking nothing. That's what he feels right now.
You got your cell phones on you? Good.
Why is this
All right,
guy
while
in the
this
movie?
Next song is playing, I want everyone to go to their contacts and click on everybody you know and text them. 3 simple words. God's not dead. And there's 10,000.
Please do all of our advertising for us. We'd really appreciate it.
Of you out there.
It'll save us a ton of money.
About 100 people. That's 1 million messages right there. 1 million times we're going to tell Jesus.
That's 1 million messages right there. And seeing as how movie theater tickets are like $10 nowadays, that's $10 million in revenue if we can get each of them people and sit their happy asses in this movie theater.
We love him in the next 3 minutes.
It was you, wasn't it?
Yes.
The one who defended God.
Come to me.
Yeah.
How did
I
you
heard
know?
you talking in the cafeteria.
Let's make some babies. Don't you just feel all warm and fuzzy inside now? Is everybody's story all wrapped up? Is everything all wrapped up in a nice, neat little bow? Everyone's awfully happy. You know who isn't happy? The scumbag atheist professor who died drowning in his own blood in the street. Atheists! Yeah. You see what happens? You see what happens? Atheists. When you don't accept God into your heart, So what if that was done by a human? Like, what if a human like hit a kid with their car? Let's remove the evil atheists from the equation and say it's an innocent kid. And then some guy just comes and stands over the kid. And the kid can be saved. Let's say he can be saved. Let's say his injuries are life-threatening, but not if, somebody does CPR on him or takes him, calls an ambulance or whatever. But the guy just doesn't do it and just stands there and watches the kid die. When we think the guy's a piece of shit. But God, who has unlimited power and knowledge and presence, does exactly that. He just stands there and watches it happen, right? If he exists. Necessarily. He just stands there and watches it happen. We would think, if it were anybody else, if it were a human being, we would think he's a piece of shit.
In heaven.
I would hope that there's at least some Christians who are disgusted by this movie. I mean, I know that there's Christians who realize this shit is cringe. I'm not as prepared to throw all Christians under the bus as this movie is to throw all atheists under the bus. God's Not Dead, the movie, was inspired by the following legal cases where university students and campus ministries were condemned for their faith. 100% honest in their framing of that. I'm totally sure, because as we all know, religious folks have never been misleading about such things. Like, I'm sure that a lot of these cases were probably just wholly inappropriate impositions. Let's maybe look up some of them. Let's see. Let's just grab one at random. Let's grab the first one. Ward v. Will Banks. Is that it? Let's see what that's about. Ethical implications of a critical legal case for the counseling profession. Oh, for a counseling profession. This is stuff that Shannon Q will talk all about. This is where they're like being inappropriate about inserting their religion into like counseling sessions, right? Like it's kind of like when the bar is closing and they say stuff like you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Like, that's not the bar oppressing you, and the bar telling you what to do. That's just saying, like you're not entitled to stay here, right? It's the same thing with like with counseling. It's like, keep it secular. Not everyone's a fucking Christian. Don't use their vulnerability as an opportunity to proselytize and take advantage. That's not you being oppressed. Here we go. Julia Ward was kicked out of Eastern Michigan University's counseling program after she declined to counsel a student against her religious beliefs. See, it's this. Look, if your religious beliefs would interfere with a chosen profession, then just don't get into that profession. There's a reason that I don't become a priest, okay? There's a reason that I don't apply to become some kind of fucking Christian counselor myself. Ward was expelled for trying to use a patient referral mechanism that other student counselors were allowed to use. She felt she could not provide good faith relationship advice to same-sex couples because of her religious beliefs. There you have it. An excuse to be a fucking bigot, a fucking homophobe, a piece of shit. In other words, that's what they're inspired. That's what this movie was inspired by. I just grabbed one at random, and it turned out to be bigoted horseshit. Yeah, I can't be. Apostate Pajamas says I can't be a KKK wizard because I'm not a white supremacist. And you know what? Back then, too, they gave the same arguments for like shit like interracial marriage. They gave religious arguments against it. It's not according to God's plan. And they'd find some kind of bullshit verse that, you know, that they can maybe interpret that way. You can interpret the Bible any fucking way you want. You can find any, there's thousands of verses from which to choose where you can just, you know, bend it to your will, so to speak. Should we grab one more of these? Just grab one at random. Christian Legal Society v. have a constitutionally protected right to control the content of their speech by excluding those who do not share their essential purposes and beliefs. How does that protect your speech? For Hastings College of the Law to force the Christian Legal Society chapter to admit non-adherence into its leadership and voting ranks. So once again, this is a discrimination case. This group wanted to be Christians only exclusive, and the school was like, hey, that's discriminatory. Our policies is to not discriminate against religion, race, gender, ethnic, sexual orientation, the usual demographics, right? But no, they want to discriminate. It's always, why is it always coming down to Christians who want to discriminate? Why does it come down to protecting bigotry? Huh? Interesting, that, isn't it? Especially when your goal is to save people, is to reach people who are not saved. Why would you want to discriminate? Why would you want to include those who already got a ticket into the VIP room? Huh? Your goal is to save people. So do what Jesus did and hang out with all the sinners. Right? Why don't you follow Jesus's example and stop hanging out with nothing but the people who believe just like you, and go out and hang out with the tax collectors and the prostitutes, and and try to. What was it Jesus said, that the sick need a doctor? They don't, the healthy aren't the ones who need a doctor. It's the sick who need a doctor, right? All these damn cases. That's what this movie was inspired. This movie was literally inspired by bigotry. And it shows, doesn't it? Doesn't it? They put this shit up here like a badge of honor. Our movie was inspired by these cases. And it's bigotry. A fucking wall of bigotry. And they're proud of it. For fuck's sake. Should I grab another one at random and guess what it is? One more. Lopez v. Jonathan Lopez was a student at Los Angeles City College, LACC. In a speech class taught by Professor John Matson, in an informative speech assignment, Lopez, a devout Christian, read a dictionary definition of marriage as being a union between a man and a woman, and read 2 verses from the Bible. Once again, we have someone being a bigot. Matson interrupted Lopez in the middle of his speech and called Lopez a fascist bastard. Well, that sounds like Matson was exercising his free speech as well, doesn't it? Is the college required to give you a platform in order for you to be able to have free speech? And refused to allow Lopez to finish his speech. No, Lopez was perfectly capable of finishing his speech. He could just go outside and do it. Matson also asked whether other students were offended, warned Lopez against proselytizing in school, and threatened to enforce the school's sexual harassment policy against Lopez. I don't know what their fucking sexual harassment policy is, but once again. So I grabbed 3 cases at random, and they all turned out to be, to involve bigotry in some form or another. Why is it, Amanda? Why is it so important to Christians whom other people fuck for real? Why do they care so much? You got me. Christians are very concerned, or at least these Christians anyway, are very concerned about what other people do with their private parts. Yeah. There I am right there in the middle. You see that? Because we're one in the same. Can you see a difference? No, you can't, can you? There I am right there. Me and Geralt. We are identical. Like, when my wife saw this, oh, she fell down laughing. She was literally cry laughing when she saw this. This is my avatar. All right. Well, Christian kids cartoons? Oh, God. That sounds awful. Who would have the audacity to make cartoons about religion? What kind of an immoral, inhuman, psychopath asshole would make cartoons about religion? Yeah, they had to name him. That's why they named him Jeffrey. I take full responsibility for God's Not Dead. I have no choice left but to commit seppuku. I'm sorry, everybody. Okay. From the Twitter account that has Mama Atheist's 100% stamp of approval, a tweet from November 19th says, "On God, I wish Yoda would blow my back out while he tells me what a nasty swamp slut I am." It appears Mama Atheist has issues.